My name is Wacu, and it has been an amazing journey coming home this time. And my main reason to come home was to make sure that one of my most important documents, which is the title deed that I got from Goshen Acquisitions after purchasing the AcaciaCove, I wanted to be sure that I have followed the due process both independently and also with Goshen. Goshen had done their part, and I wanted to see whether my part matches with theirs. And so the first part of this, what we did is we went to the ground, we went to Nanyuki, we saw my land, half acres, matched the beacons, matched the registry map, matched the mutation form, everything matched on the land, okay? And then what I am doing right now is to make sure, how about the paperwork? What I have on paper, does it look like what my land looks like, as I saw it? Do the numbers match? Is my plot correct? Is the mutation form correct? Mm-hmm. Is my title deed numbers, do they match everywhere with my beacon and whatnot? So my visit to Goshen Acquisitions today is to tell them this was my experience independently, and up to where you reached, which is to the point of giving me my title deed, I want to come back to you and tell you this is how I did my process. And in the end, I want everybody to know or to conclude for themselves how that process was. Was it seamless? Was it troublesome? Did I have the right documents from Goshen? Was there anything questionable about what I was given by Goshen? So I want people to derive that from this conversation. So yes, follow us. This is my package right here, and we will go through what it contains.
Your completion package.
Yes, so, right. So I'm gonna start with what you gave us, okay? Mm-hmm. So just to back up a little bit, I would like to say that very many land buyers choose or make a choice for their land. Very many land sellers make a choice for their land buyers on who will complete their process. Their title deed acquisition process. However, for me, I wanted to verify, whatever Goshen is doing, are they doing it right? Will my lawyer question anything? So I wanted to do it independently with Vicky, my lawyer, and you will see, throughout the documents, her logo, or rather her
commissioning
stamp. Yes, the stamps will have her name. And I wanted to do it again independently, just to confirm and verify Goshen's work, okay? So, especially when you went to in the Diaspora, okay? This is what they come swinging to us. Titles ready, And I'll be very honest. Oh, we are selling land, titles are ready. And this is the paper they give you. This is the paper they show you. This is the paper they come and hand to you. But what, personally, from my land buying experience, this is just but a sheet of paper. This is just but a piece of paper, unless you have joined all the dots, unless you have come from the seller to yourself. You have matched all the documents, and then this becomes meaningful. There's a green card behind this. There is the registry maps behind this. There is the mutation form behind this. There's back and forth with the land registry. There is the beacons behind this. There is the subdivisions. Board, I mean, it's a lot. So learn with me. So let's seal this together. So when Goshen told us that titles are ready and they were very excited, the titles are out, I called my attorney and I told my attorney, hey Vicky, I need you to transfer my title to have my name. But then my attorney told me, you need specific documents for me to process this to read your name not only on paper, but also in the land registry and anywhere else. You know, yeah. So, and she asked for these documents that I'm gonna take you through so that you can know why exactly we say that the title deed is just but a piece of paper. So the first thing that she wanted is the original. Of course, you have to have the original title deed, okay? This is what it looks like. I have tried to study, you know, what's inside of it. Maybe Solomon will help us and let us know what is included in the title deed.
Can I do that real quick as you go? The first thing is the parcel number, Nanyuki Marura Block 2, the exact land registration number, Karionga. It'll have the size. It'll also have, in some cases, your name and postal address. In your case, it's your national ID number.
Correct.
So either is acceptable or they can put both. Even for those of you in the diaspora, we've had some of our diaspora customers have their US addresses, physical addresses, put on the title because that's where they're going to be permanently, and that's okay. It's commissioned by the land registrar. Their name, stamp number, it has to have the seal. Page 2, the details should match on page 1. And on page 3 is where they would list any encumbrances against the title. So if there was a loan, if there's a dispute, if there's a succession issue, a caution, any dirty stuff that impedes the clean transfer of property would be listed on that page. Yours is blank, obviously, because there's nothing. And it's a brand new title.
Perfect.
Right, and then page 4, very often ignored because it looks like there's nothing, but those are very specific details. It tells you the regime under which the title deed has been produced, the Land Registration Act of 2012, number 3, the Registration Land Act, Chapter 300, which has been repealed, and then serial number. Every single title has a unique serial number. So even when you do searches, don't just get the first and second page, ask for all 4 pages, because if the serial number doesn't match the one that is associated to this one, then there could be some monkey business. So that's what that is.
Understood. Yeah, I'm glad that this is all documented and that this can be my reference also, and for you, for the future. So she wanted the original title deed, which is right here.
Yeah.
Okay, as the first document. Let me just pass it over to you. And then the second document that my attorney requested for is the counterpart copies of transfer of the land in duplicate, duly stamped and franked in respect of Nanyuki Marura Block.
Block 2? Yeah.
Yes, Block 2. My plot number is 3542, which also was the most important part for me because I wanted the 3542, which is my plot, to match in each and every document, because otherwise that's what will identify me to the land. So, and then that will be this in duplicate. Yeah. This is the first one. This is the second one.
The transfer forms.
Yeah. So these ones are called the counterpart copies of the transfer of the land in duplicate, and I'm going to have Solomon speak about it, you know, to teach us what exactly it is.
So the transfers are what the Ministry of Land use. It's the bridge between our title deed in GrandAcres' name to your title deed in your name. Without this, that can't happen. It's a template that's created and formatted by the Ministry of Land. It's a legal document. You can't just prepare it the way you want. You have to present it in their format. And the template, it'll have the details of the transfer, GrandAcres as it says there. It'll have the details of the transferee. It'll have, we even declare the consideration value. So what price we sold the property for, and its tenure, which is freehold. And on page 2, it'll have my passport photo because I am the sole director currently for GrandAcres who deals with that.
Sell.
Yes, because we only sell what we own. We're not brokers or agents. Very important to note. It'll also have the GrandAcres seal because it's GrandAcres selling, not myself. Seal. I put my details here as a director. Any other person who's a director would also have their details there. My name, ID number, and KRA PIN number, right? So it's not just about GrandAcres, it's about who's behind GrandAcres. Here we'd have Wacu's details, just like mine. And then page 4 is where the land registrar signs off before your title deed is then prepared. And that's what this is. So just a quick note, we usually we presented this in triplicate, 3 copies to your advocate as part of our completion package to your side. When these are all done, Ministry of Lands will also frank. This is called franking. This red stamp you see here, it's very important. It costs, I think, like 140 bob is a fee. It's nothing. But a lot of people overlook this part because this is what authenticates these documents as actual originals in their custody. So in the event of a legal dispute or investigation later, someone challenges your ownership and you present proof of your ownership, if you present such documents without franking, the court will generally treat them as suspect and even consider them to be inadmissible as binding documents or proof. So this franking is very important, and they retain one in their files at Ardi House or Ministry of Lands office in Nanyuki. In this case, it's put at a lock and key with your green card and blah blah blah, and then they release the other 2. You keep one, and we keep one for records.
So I'm coming to return to you one, or you will request from my attorney?
Yeah, these are legal documents. We don't do things kienyeji. Our advocate has to request your advocate for our copy of the counterparts.
Gotcha.
Which
so
you'll do.
Remember, when Solomon is actually speaking about this document, and the part I picked was the point he made that if they were to check whose land it is, that Marura block, they have not even reached to the title. If I produce the title, probably it's not going to make any sense. But this transfer form is what is going to make sense. You know, so the title holds a lot behind it, and that's what we need to open our minds to. You know, when somebody gives you a title, you need to know, what does that title really mean? And what it means is these documents that we are going through right now. So after the counterpart copies that, you know, thank you for explaining. We will go to the application for registration of transfer and receipt. So this is the application right here.
Yes.
Which my attorney requested for. So it will be the, you know, the application for registration, which matches the number C item that she required, which is right there. And there's something that you mentioned about the you know, the document custody.
Yes.
You know, especially of
the chain of custody is important. So when we provided your advocate with all the completion documents, she then proceeded to lodge. It's called lodging. She lodged that completion package with the Ministry of Lands registrar to effect the transfer from GrandAcres to yourself.
Correct.
Now, when you do that, because these are legal documents like IDs, passports, and so on, a Ministry of Lands officer has to receive and issue a receipt that they have received all the documents necessary for a transfer. That's why it's called an application for registration. And whoever lodged it, which is your advocate or their representative from the law firm, has to be the same party that collects your registered title. And if you don't present this to the Ministry of Lands office, they will not release any documents to you. Even if registration is done, they would have to do other things to ascertain that you have authority and mandate to collect the documents from them. So that's what this is.
Wow.
Yep.
So, and then stamp duty payment receipt. So this is the payment receipt that my attorney did to carry. You can see it is to carry and how much she paid and the numbers and everything. Yeah, this is how I work from Diaspora. You know, you tell me that you're going to pay for something, pay for it and give me the receipt. You know, so when I paid for her to pay for the stamp duty, here you go.
Yeah,
okay?
the e-slip number. Awesome.
Yeah. So then the fifth item, the fifth item is the official search date, which we did for my block, for the AcaciaCove. We did it on the 23rd November 2022, which confirms ownership of Nanyuki Marura Block 2, 3542 in Kariunga to me. It belongs to me. So the search is right here. And I'm gonna read it for you just a little bit up here so that you can match everything. So this is the Land Registration Act, the registration certificate of search, which matches what my attorney needed, right? Part of the documents. Yeah, and that is the search. And then the other document is the sale agreement. I'm gonna have, he will explain why the sale agreement came in, and why my attorney needed it. But for me, it was to produce the documents. And here is the sale agreement that I had done between myself and Goshen Acquisitions. And this was done on the 24th day of September in 2020. And this is my sale agreement, confirms, my signatures, how much I bought it, where the block is at, and all the stipulations they had, selling the land to us, what we agreed on. And just that part, why would you think they would ask for the sale agreement?
So normally they don't, unless you're disputing on their assessment or valuation for your stamp duty payment.
Right.
So for every land or property transaction, the transferee, the purchaser, has to pay the government of Kenya a transfer tax directly to KRA. That's what your e-slip is for. This is your receipt proving that you paid stamp duty to KRA for the transfer of this title deed from GrandAcres to yourself.
Correct.
Now, if they say, we think this property is worth more than you're declaring, then you can present this document as proof that I am telling the truth. This is the value of the transaction. I am not under declaring to save myself stamp duty, which is a common practice. And I commend you for insisting that you use your own advocate to handle this. It's one of the areas we as land sellers in the industry sort of take advantage of to save costs. So if we tell you that our price is all inclusive, legal, stamp duty and everything, we take away your control and accountability in that process, because it's our lawyer who handles everything, and we could underdeclare. Because if we promised you that the price you were paying includes stamp duty, and we are declaring to KRA we want to pay stamp duty for Wacu, there's a very strong motivation to underdeclare the value of the transaction because it lowers our expenses. This is a very common practice. We ourselves have fallen victim to this from people we were buying land from. 10, 11 years ago, I was part of a transaction with my mom, with a different advocate, and that's exactly what happened. They told us stamp duty is going to be X amount, but when we received the receipt from KRA, it was Y, much lower, a third of what we surrendered to the lawyer, and he blatantly told us that, we split the money between ourselves and the KRA officer, and therefore we underdeclared the value of the transaction. So in those instances, having a sale agreement saves you a lot of headaches, because it's a sale agreement, it's been commissioned by an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Has the stamps,
Has the stamps, that's our lawyer's stamp, as well as your lawyers on the other documents. But more importantly, again, as with your transfer, our advocate got the franking done. With the Ministry of Lands. There's an officer who does this authentication. You pay a fee and they stamp it just like your transfer forms, so that this document is indisputable. There's no question about its authenticity. Right, so it's in that context that a sale agreement becomes important. Besides giving you teeth to hold us to account. And I just want to, if I can take a little time to explain, there's a list of documents here, clause 5.2, called the completion documents, right? So in this case, I'll just read it, clause 5.1. The completion date, meaning when we close the transaction, shall be 3 months from the date of this agreement, or within 7 days after successful registration of the properties in favor of the purchaser, which is yourself.
Which is myself.
Whichever is later.
Yeah.
Right? So that's clear.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to list in clause 4.2, before the completion date referred to above, the vendor, ourselves, shall avail the following documents to enable successful registration of the title in favor of the purchaser, which is you. Number one, the original title deed in respect of the properties. That's why your advocate is required.
The same exact
yes.
I have on the list.
Because we have to surrender it to Ministry of Lands and they produce a new one with your details.
Correct.
Number two, the duly executed transfers, which is in triplicate, in favor of the purchaser, in triplicate for each property. So for your property, we had to do that transfer 3 times. One is kept by the Ministry of Lands. They release 2. You keep 1, our lawyer gets the other one.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Number 3, 6 colored passport size photos of the vendor's director, duly authenticated. And that's the one that's affixed on the transfer,
the one that's on
my passport photo. The reason you ask for that is because I have to give it to you, to your advocate.
Yeah, right.
Number 4, certified copies of the vendor's certificate of incorporation and PIN certificate. So GrandAcres registration certificate, company registrar, as well as KRA PIN. Without those, you can't transfer. Number 5, vendor director's national ID and PIN. So I, as a director, had to also provide my personal.
And we saw that page.
Yes. With my personal PIN number and national ID. Number 6 is the original Land Control Board application and consent to transfer. We have to get permission from the Land Control Board to transfer the property to you.
To me.
Right? Number 7, a certified copy of the MEMATs for the business, the Memorandum and Articles of Association. And finally, all other documents necessary for registration of the transfer in favor of the purchaser. The reason lawyers leave this last clause as a bit more general is because the registrars at the Ministry of Land are free to ask for whatever else they require to be comfortable that this is a legitimate transaction.
I see.
And therefore, it allows your advocate to say, hey, can your lawyer please provide XYZ? I know it's not listed here, but it's what the Ministry of Lands has asked for. Including RIMs, mutation forms, blah, blah, blah.
So that's when you produce that still on the back end.
Yes.
So see what we are talking about. The title. Your title is a piece of paper. What the weight that it carries behind it is what you should pay attention to. And that's what I did. I wanted to see all these mutation forms, the green card, the whatnot, before I can swing that paper and say like, hey, I have my title deed.
Right.
You know. So 2 things I want to mention from you were explanation, Mr. Wangwe, is that number 1, us being in the diaspora, microwave mentality. We want things done quickly. We want things done by one person. We want it, done and laid in front of us. Okay? So what we need to note maybe from this discussion, and I have taken to heart, is when somebody comes selling land to us in their diaspora and they're like, don't even worry about the transfer. We will put the transfer, we will do the transfer, we'll pay your stamp duty, we'll do. It's usually a selling point.
It's huge because then there's no other cost to you.
Yeah, so just because somebody is telling you that they will not, it will not cost you, let's start questioning. Let's start knowing the processes, and once you know the process, you will know, because they don't want to declare this much, because you know what I'm saying? Let's learn, let's educate each other. You know what I'm saying? Let's correct the land buyer, the land sellers. Let's tell them, hey, I don't understand this part. What happened, Solomon?
Yes. Yeah.
And by you learning the process is the only way you will be able to bring up these questions.
That's a good
point. Number 2 that I wanted to bring up also. When my attorney was doing the search, or rather paid for the search for my title deed, the land ministry, the search, I don't know if I'm using the right words, but the people
stamp
that do
duty,
the surveyor,
for valuation.
Yeah, for valuation. The surveyor has to actually go and revalue the land once more.
Yeah, the government value.
So that they make sure that they are charging you the correct amount in relations to the land and that stamp duty. So when they went to do valuation for my land, they were like, okay, Miss Moya, this land is 4 million right now. We have, the AcaciaCove as we speak right now, from the land office valuation is 4 million. Then I was like, then it's not even an overkill, number one, to start with. You know what I'm saying? It's because sometimes we think that they're saying land is appreciating, but
what's the proof?
By how much? Yeah. What's the proof? What's even the proof that you are justified to sell AcaciaCove what you're selling at? So that gave me really, that consolation or that validity of increasing the value. So, and I'm like, hey, those of you who did not did not get AcaciaCove when I got it, I got mine. So yeah, so that's the other point that I wanted to make, that land sellers, I don't know about the others. I can only speak to this and this title deed. When I buy from another person, I'm gonna speak of them, but I'm speaking of this. So that's the other point that I wanted.
Thanks for mentioning that. If I can add something to that, the issue of valuation, it's very touchy and it's very subjective, which is why we don't make much of a fuss about it. We ask what we ask for rhyme and reason. It's never random. There are costs we incur. There's time to consider. There's value addition we have to pay for. AcaciaCove in particular is very heavy because it's going to be fully serviced. Water, sewer, power, cobblestone roads, security gatehouse, fencing that's already been done. All that stuff costs money, so we have reason for what we ask for. Now, if our valuation, our asking price is different from government valuation, you need to understand why, and there's nothing wrong with asking questions. In your case, government valuation happens to be quite a bit higher than what you actually paid for the land.
Right.
Because you are an early bird buyer, and we had a special arrangement with KNAD's buyers.
That is correct.
Because we were intent on giving real value. I'm glad that it's come full circle and you have confirmed independently. And then for anyone else who's wondering, 4.9, government says stamp duty should be based on 4 million. Generally speaking, government valuations are lower than market valuations.
In general.
For tax assessment purposes. And that could be 10, 15, in the most extreme cases, 20% lower than market valuation.
Correct.
And this is true also in the States. I have experience with that. Government or tax values are always much lower than market valuations. There's formulas that go into that. I'm not the expert, but just to answer the question of why then are they asking 4.99 besides the value addition, generally government valuations will be that percentage lower than market valuation.
I honestly think that 4 million is quite reasonable.
And we're about to increase it because that's just how it goes with property.
But my point speaking to this being that from 1.45 and then you tell somebody now they're going for 4.99 or 4 million or whatever. It's such a blow up. It looks like such a blow up. But then when the government comes in between, these are the people that tell, we believe the government. You know what I'm talking about?
We have nothing to do with the government
and
value.
You have not, you did not even know what I was doing, until I showed up today and tell you, hey, I finished my transfer process. Can we talk about it?
Awesome.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I thought that 4 million was good. I thought it was good. And so
you made the money when you bought. You made the money when you bought. Yeah.
Yes. It's not just a sheet of paper. It has meaning. And I hope from this conversation, anybody, the land sellers, land buyer, anybody, you can learn from this, that the title deed is just a piece of paper unless you put the docs together behind it and support the document. So thank you very much for listening to this conversation. I originally had a piece of paper that I was swinging at you, but now you know it should be this heavy. all right? There should be a lot behind the title deed, and I hope today you are able to learn the back end of it. So I want to thank you, Solomon, so much for having a seamless process. I want to report back to you that we have confirmed every document. We have gone through the process as it is required, and I'm a grateful owner of AcaciaCove. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I also just want to say thank you so much for joining our AcaciaCove neighborhood and community, our Greater Gains community.
Thank you.
We're so proud to count you as one of our customers and buyers, and now neighbor. It's not something we ever take for granted. And also thank you for your patience, because this took way longer than it was supposed to.
That is true.
A transaction that should have taken 90 days or thereabouts ended up taking slightly over 2 years. And we really appreciate your patience, as well as your sisters at KNADS, those who stuck in there with us as we sorted out the issues.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
We are so grateful.
Thank you.
And we pray that this is just a beginning for many more.
Yeah. Lots of learning.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Karibu.